All right. Hello, NACMA World. I'm Megan McLeod, Senior Associate AD for Brand Advancement here at Illinois State, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Tim Batista, Associate AD for External Engagement at Dartmouth. Tim, how are we doing today?
Doing well. Glad to have this panel in place here. We have a lot of great people on this call.
So we have kind of an all-star group here that we're going to let introduce themselves here in a moment. But today we're going to talk about our marketing teams and kind of working with their multimedia rights counterparts to create fun and engaging in-game content, but really specifically on their video boards. So we'll go ahead and get started. First, we have our team from JMU. Jake and Katie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Thank you, Megan. My name is Jake Longenecker. I serve as the Director of Fan Engagement here at JMU. Class of 2017 Auburn graduate with stops with the Louisiana Raging Cajuns and the Maryland Terrapins before JMU.
I'm Katie Wyndham. I am the Daktronics video board producer here at James Madison University, and I am responsible for all the athletic video boards on campus and the content that goes on them, and I have been here for 13 years.
Awesome. And then on the Virginia Tech side, we have Catherine and Maddie.
Hey everyone, thanks so much. I'm Catherine. I'm the Assistant AD for Marketing here at Virginia Tech. I've been here for about 2 years, and my primary sports are football and softball. Maddie?
Hi everyone, I'm Maddie. I'm the assistant AD for In-Venue Experience. So all things video board, and I've been on staff for about 6 years.
All right. And then we had to bring in somebody to get the MMR perspective as well. So we have Matt Moran from Redbird Sports Properties. Matt, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
First, Megan, Matt Moran. I'm the general manager at Redbird Sports Properties. Been here a little over a year, but have been with Learfield for about 5.
Awesome. And so today we have about 15 minutes to kind of talk through our topic. So I'm going to go ahead and send it over to Tim and we'll get started.
Thanks, Megan, and thanks everyone for joining. So we'll get right into it. So this first question is for anyone. The concept is chicken or the egg. Which comes first, the sponsor or the promotion? And we'll open up to the floor.
I can take this first one. I feel like at JMU we've enjoyed success with both, but candidly, there's been two really high-profile promotions that we've started without a sponsor affiliate that we've then been able to go back to our sports properties team as possible inventory for them to sell. I think the biggest one would be our Dukes Mayo partnership that we recently announced. We have a Go Dukes chant, so that's something that we brought back to our football game day experience that our sports properties team was then able to take and sell to a potential partner. Obviously, there's going to be a give and a take. There are things that they ask us to do before we have ideas. There are going to be times where they say we need an on-field promotion or a video board element, and it's just kind of up to us to figure out. But candidly, we've seen a lot of success really recently with us trying some new things. And then our sports properties team seeing them be successful and starting to pitch them as assets, specifically with our Go Dukes chant recently.
Yeah, I'll chime in too. We're pretty similar there. We do a little bit of both, where there's a lot that we want to do and we don't want to limit ourselves if there's something that we want to try. So we'll do it whether or not it's sponsored. And then a lot of sponsors will take note of the effects that it has and kind of jump in on that. But then there's some stuff where sponsors will come with certain ideas in their head and we have to try to meet somewhere and get where they're coming from. So yeah, a little bit of both. One thing that we've done that we started just because we wanted to do was pressure luck. So we had an outside company create the video and all of that, and it was super fun. The crowd loved it. And then our Hokie shop, so where we sell fan gear, they jumped on that pretty quick because we're giving out t-shirts and things like that. So that worked out perfectly.
Thanks, Jake and Maddie. You guys answered that one very well. So you also kind of got into the next portion of the question. Have you created any promotions that ended up drawing in a sponsor? Which you both answered yes. Can you guys walk us through what kind of timeline that took from creation of the promotion to working with your MMR counterparts to bringing that promotion with a sponsorship element to life?
Yeah, sometimes it's a pretty quick turnaround, but then and other times, like my specific example, it was almost 2+ years for them to finally get a title sponsor attached to that. Um, Honestly, I think that we have our summer meetings where we do a lot of our brainstorming, and that's where, we kind of have the opportunity to meet and start to talk about expectations versus potential of what we can actually pull off. And that's where a lot of your things like our fourth quarter student game, things that get sponsored, our chants getting sponsored, all that time in the summer is obviously incredibly valuable for us when working with those sports properties teams.
Yeah, we're pretty similar there too. There's some stuff that kind of ebbs and flows throughout the season. So it'll be sponsored one year and then not the next. So then that's up for grabs, but we're still going to do it whether or not it's sponsored. And then there's other things that involve money or prizes that we don't necessarily have the capability to do without a sponsor. So we've done a kick for cash the past few years that has been sponsored, and the sponsor gave us the money to do it. And then this year they weren't a sponsor anymore. So then we're still in the works of figuring out what we want to do to be able to bring that back as for the kind of atmosphere that it brings with it, because everyone loves it. But we don't have thousands of dollars in cash to give out every game. So that's one where it's like you give and take a little bit on.
Great. Thank you guys for that. Matt, this question is for you from the sponsorship side. How much do you work with marketing teams prior to pitching sponsors?
Yeah, I mean, we try to for everything. Um, a lot of times we'll go on a pitch or a fact find with a potential partner and they'll have an idea in their head. Whether it's good or bad, I always want to take it back to the marketing staff to get their opinion on it. Sometimes they don't like it and they want us to pivot to something else, which we're more than happy to do because to me, it's important to have the buy-in from marketing or social or video board or whoever it is, just to make sure that partnership executes the way we envision it and pitch it to the partner. Or if it's an idea we have internally before we take it to anybody, we'll sort of take that process and think it through. And oftentimes Megan and her team will have valuable input to make that even better and things that they can do on their end to improve on it. So then when we do take it to the partner, it's a fully fledged out concept.
Great. Thank you for that. Megan, get back to you. Next question.
So I'm going to start with our marketing teams on this one. When it comes to generating content for your video boards, do you have resources in-house, or do you tend to outsource your content?
We tend to be a mix of both. Being that I am a Daktronics employee, we do have a contract with Daktronics, the creative services department. So we do have a lot of content that is made by Daktronics Creative Services. They make a lot of our templates, but then those templates come in-house and then we edit those templates, game to game needs. And then we do have a video team in-house that edits all of our videos for us. They do pretty much all of that content. And then when it comes to like intro videos, we will film and edit those in-house, but then we'll kick them over to DAC for final polishes and touches for final products.
Yeah, we're a little bit of a mix. Most of our content is in-house in one department or another. We have a lot of hands in on our content, but we do freelance a few motion graphics things that we'll use across different sports. So they'll do templates and then we can edit those. All intro videos are in-house. I'll let Catherine speak on some of the in-house branding stuff, but yeah, most of our videos at least are in-house.
Yeah, I'll agree with Maddie there. Most of our stuff is in-house. From the marketing side, I can't think of anything that we outsource for our end. Most of it is in-house for us. So.
And then Matt, on the Learfield side, does Learfield have resources available to sort of help with some of that sponsored content generation for maybe even some of our smaller schools who don't have the ability to do things in-house?
We do, and we utilize them a lot. We've got graphic designers on staff that we can submit requests to with ideas and logos, and then they'll create static graphics for us. Video is a little bit more difficult, but oftentimes our partners, especially the bigger ones, will have those resources on their end, whether it's through an agency or in-house.
Matt, I do appreciate you saying that most of the time I have to create templates and not calling me out for my bad graphic design. So, Tim, I'll send it back to you for our next question.
Great. Thanks, Megan. So this one is for our marketers on the call. Do you have a certain amount of spots each game that you hold for institutional branding or recognition versus sponsored content?
That's a really good question. I'll go first on this one. It's a mix, and I think it depends on what the element is. And so, where we've gotten a little bit creative is when you have Hokey Shop Press Your Luck that's really engaging to our fans, or if you have something like the CMG Jump Zone Fan Cam, for example, those elements aren't going to be your typical, PA read game ball delivery type thing that's not engaging. So our in-venue squad does a really good job of being creative and collaborative when it comes to sponsored elements. So my rule is that as long as we can get something engaging in every single timeout, for example, for basketball, I'm okay with that. So the number fluctuates depending on what those elements are, but just making sure it's not too heavy. And then Maddie, I'll let you talk a little bit about that rule of like making sure something is engaging.
Yeah, so a few years ago, we kind of decided to stop doing recognitions where people just walk out and wave, because that's great for the people that are on the field waving, but not really for anyone else in the venue. So if we do have something like that that we need to get in, we try to pair it with something that is engaging, like Catherine was saying. Like we'll have, well, last year we did Carillion Healthcare Hero. So it was a local hospital. One person would be recognized each game, but we had them play a shuffle video game with our MC. So they got to say which, well, it's like a helmet with keys under it. So which helmet had the keys under it. And so that was a little bit more exciting because the fans could also play that game. So we try not to do anything like that unless it's like a national championship recognition or an ACC team championship kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of how we balance it.
I think for us at JMU, one, I do want to reiterate what Catherine said. I thought her mentality of there has to be at least one fun thing every media break really resonates with me as well. There's obviously going to be a balance between sponsored content and things that we're just doing for fun. The challenge obviously is different based on each school and what your contracts look like. But for us, candidly, our biggest challenge that we try to mitigate is like just normal PA reads. There are a decent amount of sponsored content that, in my opinion, we've worked with them throughout the course of years, and we've gotten it to a point where it is pretty engaging. It's still sponsored, obviously, but for us, the things that are like really lacking engagement and we try to wean away from is just our standard PA reads. And all of that is hashed out throughout the summer, though. We know exactly going into each game what PA reads, what sponsor obligations, what on-field recognitions are unique to that game. We'll carve them out. We'll work with our sports properties team to make sure that they're in the location that they're happy with. But then after that, there's plenty of time. And then that's up to us to fill it with engaging content. And in my opinion, that's where the real challenge lies in producing our games.
Great, thank you all. Maddie, I want to follow up with something that you had said, kind of going away from like just the presentations on the field with them waving at the camera. I kind of want to kick over to Matt and Katie from a Leaderboard and a Daktronics perspective. Obviously from a Daktronics perspective, right? Creating and having engaging content on the video board is always something that's a must. And then from the Learfield side, having sponsors, obviously engagement and connecting to fans is what they want to do. What are your thoughts on, kind of moving away from just the game ball presentation, the handshakes, right, type of thing, and moving into more engaging content? I'll kick it over to Katie or Matt, whoever would like to go first.
Yeah, so we do still do a lot of the on-field smile and wave at the camera, but the way we've kind of mitigated that super long, boring shot that nobody really wants to look at and be on the board for, is we actually do a little bit of a highlight video. So if we're recognizing, a team that's won a conference championship, we're going to do a highlight video of that while the PA is talking about their recognitions. And then we'll come down to the field and be like, on the field with our athletics director is the team. Here's the trophy. Say hi, everybody. And then we're usually kicking it out to something that is really engaging. Either it's, a fun get on your feet song or a cam or that type of thing. So we do them, but we make them a lot more interesting than a minute of staring at somebody.
I completely agree. It's not the most engaging promotion from the like a game sponsor, game ball presentation side. It's something that we like to do for our partners that are sponsoring that game. But I do like the idea of having them do something that's more engaging. Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we had 4 or 5 recognitions this past Saturday between us and new coaches and the conference commissioner and all that. It was a lot to fit into a game with those when they're not engaging. So finding a way for them to do something while recognizing them, I think is a great idea moving forward.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I'll kick it back to Megan for the next question.
So I think this one is really for anybody, but maybe more geared toward the marketing side. But when you're creating your scripts, how much involvement does the sponsorship group have? Are they, providing you with certain timeouts they want things put in, or are you really utilizing your expertise and then kind of working with your MMR person to kind of understand the game flow?
I'll take this one. We meet with our sports properties team in like usually March or April. Once they've had the ability to really solidify what they know they want to do for our football season, we create a sponsor and recognition breakdown tool, which is basically a Google sheet that lists out every single media break for every single football game that we have. And I can largely get that confirmed before June or July. Um, Sometimes it's, hey, we're going to do this in the second quarter. Just tell them to meet us at the end of the first. And then it's a matter of whether or not it goes 2.1 or 2.2. Hopefully, is semantics at that point because they've already communicated second quarter to their sponsor. They have input, but if they're providing us with input and recommendations, it's a lot easier to stomach that in March and April than it is September. And candidly, we've seen a lot of growth with that relationship because we're coming a little bit more buttoned up and prepared. So are they. And then there's just less conversations in September that weren't had in April.
Some of the way that we sell stuff is in-game versus pre-game or in-game versus not in-game. So that helps a little bit and it gives us a little bit more freedom of putting it where it fits within our script.
Yeah, and also chime in. Oh, I'm sorry, Katie. I'll chime in and say that there's a lot of give and take when it comes to script writing with our sponsors. I'll give an example. We had 2 Carillion kids captains at football this past Saturday, and for the sake of our PA announcer, I tried to omit the last names because I never want the announcer to get them wrong, but it was in the contract, right? And so some of those things are non-negotiables, and some of them you have to do. For example, if you have to say it in the first half, we're going to make it work, but going back and having a collaborative conversation with your sponsorship folks is always important. Katie?
And I was just going to say, sometimes it's dependent on what your content is, right? If you're doing a tailgater of the game, you probably want to put that in your first quarter, maybe your second quarter, and not your fourth quarter. Or if you're doing a Dukes Win You Win promotion, maybe you want to do that earlier in the game, just in case the game isn't going your way and it's not a bad look in the fourth quarter. So sometimes the content dictates where it ends up going and not necessarily where everybody wants it to go.
That all sounds great. I'm going to go ahead and send it over to Tim for kind of our final question, and then we'll wrap it all up.
Great. Thanks, Megan. So just want to kick it over to everyone on the call. You guys have any final thoughts or advice when it comes to in-game fan engagement, right? Whether it's video board content, whether it's script writing, whether it's sponsorship activation. Obviously, we're broadcasting to a very large group of NACMA folks. So we just want to kind of give everyone's final thoughts or any advice for anybody out there.
One thing that I'll say is a big thing that we do is think about what the fan needs. So instead of thinking of what we have and what we're required to do, think about what the fan needs and how we can fit those requirements and fun things to do that. So giving all the information the fans need. If you're sitting in the stands, are you looking for a replay or are you looking for a stat? And can we sponsor those things to kind of get the best of both worlds there?
Yeah, I'll follow off of that. What are you already doing in your show that can add to your sponsorship inventory? Those are the easy wins for everybody across the board because everybody's going to see the touchdown animation, everybody's going to see the replay animation. Utilize those easy wins to get your sponsors in, and then you can also do the fun, engaging things. And don't be afraid to try things. You never know what'll work.
Yeah, off of that, I'll say keep the door open for communication in the whole group. We meet with our sponsorship team at least twice a week on various things. And I don't think we would have ever gotten to the point where our president was tweeting out about bacon britches without our Smithfield partner, for example, and our sponsorship person coming to me and being like, hey, do you want some bacon sweatpants? I'm like, actually, yes, let's do it. Right. And so that's where you get your viral moments. And opening that door and having that collaborative relationship with them has led to some really awesome things.
My last comment on this, I think a lot of people in the industry sometimes have challenges with the relationship between marketing and sports properties just because we all feel that we want to host the best show, and sometimes it's just us stepping on each other's toes. Understanding that we're all working for the same team, that we all have the same end goal, and then just emphasizing relationships, being as positive as you can, both within your department and across department lines, will go sometimes farther than you think it would.
Matt, any comments for the group?
No, I want to make sure knows that we do always have an open mind when we're taking things to marketing teams or to our sponsors. Our ultimate goal is for engaging content whenever it comes to the video board. And I think that's the goal of everybody in the athletic department. So we're always open to working with ideas and changes and where it falls in the script and things like that.
Great. Thanks, all. My one piece of advice is out-of-town scores is incredibly underutilized across the board. I've never been to a football stadium that has great self-reception, especially when you have a packed house. So if anyone isn't doing out-of-town scores, that's my piece of advice. So I'll kick it over to Megan to close this out.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So I just want to take this time and thank all of our group today, our JMU group, Virginia Tech, and Matt over at Redbird Sports Properties. We really appreciate it. So thanks for spending your time with us today, and we hope that this was helpful for the NACMA world out there. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.